The grand hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with whispers and murmurs. 200 species from across the galaxy had gathered for this historic moment, Earth's application to join the Galactic Alliance. But something was wrong. The human ambassador, Tom Wilson, could feel the cold stares and sense the tension in the room. The head counselor, a tall being with silvery skin named First Speaker Reed, stood at the central podium. His voice echoed through the chamber, "The application for Earth to join the Galactic Alliance has been rejected." Tom's heart sank. 6 years of diplomatic work, gone in an instant. "On what grounds?" he asked, his voice steady despite his shock. "Your species shows concerning traits," First Speaker Reed explained, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Our deep analysis of human history reveals an unacceptable pattern of warfare, violence, and aggressive expansion. You are what we classify as a warrior species." The term hit Tom like a physical blow. He had heard whispers of this classification during his diplomatic missions, but never thought it would be used officially against Earth. With respect, Tom began, "Every species has a history of conflict. We've grown beyond our violent past. Earth hasn't seen a major war in over 50 years. A ripple of what sounded like laughter, though it came out more like chirping, spread through the assembly. Another counselor, Ambassador Mar from the peaceful luminary civilization, stepped forward. 50 years? Mar's translucent form shimmered with what humans would recognize as amusement. My species hasn't engaged in organized violence for 10,000 years. Most Alliance members haven't seen war in at least a millennium. Your peace is but a heartbeat in cosmic time." Tom looked around the room, seeing the truth in their eyes, or whatever sensory organs each species used. These beings were truly different. While humans had developed faster-than-light travel through decades of military-funded research programs, most Alliance species had achieved it through purely peaceful scientific cooperation. "We request you reconsider," Tom said. "Earth can contribute much to the Alliance. Our adaptability, our problem-solving skills - all traits evolved for warfare," First Speaker Reed interrupted. "Your very biology betrays you. Your endurance running evolved for persistent hunting. Your hand-eye coordination perfect for throwing weapons. Your social cooperation developed for tribal warfare. Even your problem-solving abilities were honed by military necessity." The truth of these words stung, but Tom wasn't finished. "Then let us prove ourselves. Give Earth a chance to demonstrate our value beyond our warrior nature." First Speaker Reed raised all 4 hands in a gesture of finality. "The Council's decision is made. Earth will be classified as a restricted warrior species. You may maintain limited trade relations with Alliance members, but you are forbidden from establishing colonies beyond your solar system. A monitoring station will be established at the edge of your system to ensure compliance." As Tom left the council chamber, his mind raced. Earth's dreams of joining the Galactic Community, of accessing advanced Alliance technology, of establishing colonies among the stars, all gone. But something else bothered him even more, the dismissive way the Alliance treated humanity's warrior nature. They saw it only as a flaw, a defect to be contained. What they didn't understand was that humanity's warrior spirit wasn't just about violence, it was about protecting what they loved, about facing impossible odds, about never giving up. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Tom had a feeling that the galaxy might one day need these very qualities it now feared. On his ship's journey back to Earth, Tom drafted his report to the United Earth Council. He included every detail of the rejection, but added a personal note at the end: "They fear what they don't understand about us. But perhaps they should fear what they don't understand about the galaxy. Peace is wonderful, but peace has made them complacent. And in this vast, dark universe, complacency can be deadly." Little did the Alliance know, their rejection of humanity would soon prove to be their greatest mistake. For beyond the borders of known space, something stirred, something that would make them desperately wish they had a warrior species on their side. As Tom's ship entered Earth's solar system, passing the new Alliance monitoring station, he noticed something odd about the station's design. It was built purely for observation, with no defensive capabilities. The Alliance was so confident in their peaceful existence that they hadn't even considered the need for protection. Tom smiled grimly. He had a feeling that humanity's story in the galaxy was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. 3 years after Earth's rejection from the Galactic Alliance, the monitoring station at the edge of the solar system picked up something unusual. The Alliance observers watched in horror as massive ships, unlike anything in their database, emerged from the darkness between stars. The station's commander, Observer Ray, immediately sent a distress signal to Alliance headquarters. But before any response came, the unknown ships changed course, heading straight for the monitoring station. In the United Earth Defense Command Center, Admiral James Parker watched the situation unfold through their own advanced sensors. The Alliance hadn't bothered to encrypt their communications, confident in their technological superiority. Now, humans listened as panic spread through the monitoring station. Unknown vessels, this is a peaceful Galactic Alliance installation, Observer Ray broadcast. We mean you no harm and request peaceful dialogue. The response came in the form of energy weapons that tore through the station's unshielded hull. The Alliance had never bothered with defensive shields, they hadn't needed them in 10,000 years of peace. Admiral Parker turned to his staff. How long until they reach Earth? At their current speed, 4 days, sir, his tactical officer replied. Parker nodded grimly. Send word to all Earth Defense Forces. And get me Tom Wilson. Tom had spent the last 3 years studying the Alliance's rejection, trying to understand their peaceful civilization. Now, as he rushed into the Defense Command Center, he finally understood why humanity's warrior nature might be needed. The Alliance has no real military, Tom explained to the gathered leaders. They maintained peace so long they forgot how to fight. Their ships are fast but unarmored. Their weapons are meant for mining asteroids, not combat. They're defenseless. And these new aliens? Parker asked. Based on their attack pattern and ship design, they're purely military. They targeted the Alliance station's key systems first. They know what they're doing. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, the rejected warriors, might be the only thing standing between these invaders and a galaxy that had forgotten how to fight. Parker activated the Global Defense Network. Every nation on Earth began mobilizing their forces. Shipyards that had been restricted by Alliance treaties sprang into action, completing mothballed warships. Weapon systems that humanity had been ordered to dismantle were quickly reassembled. 3 days later, the alien ships detected Earth's defense fleet. Instead of continuing their advance, they halted. Hours passed as they studied the human forces. They're scanning us, Tom noted, watching the sensor readings. They've probably never encountered serious resistance in Alliance space. Finally, a transmission came through. The aliens appeared on screen, massive, armored beings with multiple limbs and weapons seemingly grafted into their bodies. Their translated message was simple: you are not Alliance. Why do you maintain combat vessels? Admiral Parker stepped forward. We are humanity, of Earth. We protect what's ours. There was a long pause before the aliens responded. The Alliance rejected you. It wasn't a question. They did, Parker confirmed. They called us a warrior species. Another pause. We have conquered 16 Alliance systems in the past month. They offered no resistance. Their technology is advanced, but they have forgotten the art of war. You are different. Tom stepped forward. The Alliance fears what we are. But right now, we're all that stands between you and a galaxy that can't defend itself. The alien commander's response held a note of what might have been respect. We expected easy conquest. The Alliance's peace made them weak. But you maintain your strength even in peace. You understand that the galaxy is not always kind. We do, Parker said. And we won't let you harm innocent worlds, advanced. Or not. Earth's fleet will fight if you proceed. You may defeat us, but we'll make you pay dearly for every system you try to take. Hours passed as the alien fleet remained motionless. Finally, they transmitted again. We are the Kroth. We respect strength and wisdom. Your defense of those who rejected you shows both. We will withdraw from Alliance space, on one condition. Name it, Parker said. Humanity will join the Galactic Defense Council. A new organization, separate from the Alliance. Together, we will protect the galaxy from threats the Alliance pretends don't exist. They may have their peace, but someone must stand ready for war. As the terms were negotiated, Tom couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity's warrior nature, the very thing the Alliance feared, had just saved them from conquest. And now, Earth would take its place among the stars not as a shunned species, but as guardians of the galaxy. 6 months after the formation of the Galactic Defense Council, the Alliance could no longer ignore humanity's rising influence. Their peaceful assembly halls now buzzed with worried discussions about the warrior species they had rejected, who now patrolled their borders alongside the fearsome Kroth. First Speaker Reed stood before the Alliance Council, his silvery skin dulled with stress. The humans have established joint defense stations throughout our territory. They claim it's for our protection, but a thundering boom interrupted his speech. Emergency alerts flashed across all communication channels. An unknown force had just attacked 3 Alliance worlds simultaneously. In the newly established Galactic Defense Command Center on Earth, Admiral Parker and the Kroth commander, War Leader Torn, watched the situation unfold. They're not like us, Torn observed, his armored form shifting as he studied the attack patterns. These aren't warriors, they're hunters. Tom Wilson, now serving as Earth's Defense Council representative, leaned forward. The difference being? We Kroth sought conquest for glory and resources, Torn explained. These creatures, they're attacking population centers first. They're hunting for sport. Parker's face hardened. Then they've picked the wrong galaxy to hunt in. He opened a channel to the joint human-Kroth fleet. All Defense Council forces, deploy to the attacked systems. Primary objective is civilian evacuation and protection. The response was immediate. Ships that combined human tactical innovation with Kroth battle technology thundered through space. Unlike the purely peaceful Alliance vessels or the brute force Kroth ships of the past, these were something new, weapons of war designed to protect. The attackers, when finally seen, caused even the hardened Kroth warriors to pause. They were massive, translucent creatures that seemed to phase between dimensions. Their ships weren't built, they were grown, living weapons that fed on the energy of their victims. The Alliance never stood a chance, Tom said quietly, watching the battles unfold. They wouldn't even understand what they were seeing. These hunters, they specifically target peaceful species. In the Centauri system, an Alliance colony world faced the largest hunter fleet. The civilians there had never seen violence, never imagined the need for it. But as the hunters closed in, they saw something new, human and Kroth ships moving into defensive positions around their world. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The hunters, used to helpless prey, found themselves facing an enemy that understood war on a fundamental level. Human ships danced through space in unpredictable patterns, their tactics evolved from centuries of warfare. Kroth vessels absorbed punishment that would have shattered Alliance ships, their crews fighting with disciplined fury. But it was the combination of the two that proved decisive. Human adaptability paired with Kroth endurance. Human creativity enhanced by Kroth technology. Two warrior species, fighting not for conquest or glory, but to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Back in the Defense Command Center, Parker watched as the hunters were slowly pushed back. "Send word to all Alliance worlds," he ordered. "The Defense Council stands ready to protect any system that requests aid." The message spread quickly through Alliance space. Worlds that had once shunned humanity now called desperately for help. The hunters had revealed a harsh truth: in a galaxy full of mysteries, peace could only exist when protected by those willing to fight for it. First Speaker Reed himself came to Earth, his previous confidence replaced by humility. "We were wrong," he admitted to the Defense Council. "We saw only the surface of what it means to be a warrior species. We didn't understand that true warriors don't fight because they want to, but because they must." Tom responded with a gentle smile. "The Alliance's peace is beautiful. It's something worth protecting. But peace isn't the absence of violence, it's the willingness to stand against violence when it threatens the innocent." As the weeks passed, more hunter fleets emerged from the dark spaces between stars. But each time, they found not helpless prey, but a galaxy defended by those who understood war so that others might know peace. The Kroth, once potential conquerors, found a new purpose alongside humanity. Their warrior culture, combined with human values, created something unprecedented: an interstellar peacekeeping force that understood both the art of war and the importance of peace. In the Alliance Council chambers, where humanity had once been rejected, a new memorial was built. It showed a human and a Kroth warrior standing guard over a group of diverse alien species. The inscription read, "To those who bear the burden of war, so that others may know the blessing of peace." The hunters would return many times. Over the years, each time facing a stronger, more unified defense. The Alliance began to understand that their peaceful civilization hadn't evolved beyond violence, it had simply been protected from it by chance. Now, they had protectors who chose to bear that burden willingly. As Tom stood in those same council chambers where he had once faced rejection, he reflected on how far they had come. Humanity hadn't needed to prove its worth through peace, they had proved it through their willingness to fight for peace. The galaxy had learned that sometimes, the best guardians of peace were those who understood war best. 10 years after the formation of the Galactic Defense Council, humanity and the Kroth had transformed the galaxy's understanding of warfare. But with that transformation came an unexpected challenge, one that would test not just their strength, but their wisdom. The emergency alert came during a routine Defense Council meeting. A human colony on the Outer Rim had detected something impossible: a hunter ship communicating with an Alliance vessel. Admiral Parker, now showing streaks of gray in his hair, called an emergency session. The transmission was brief, but clear. He explained to the gathered representatives. "Someone in the Alliance is helping the hunters." War Leader Torrent's armor clicked as he shifted. "Impossible. The Alliance fears the hunters more than they ever feared us." "Fear makes people do strange things," Tom Wilson said, his diplomatic experience showing in his measured tone. "And after a decade of depending on warrior species for protection, some in the Alliance might be looking for alternatives." The evidence, when presented, was damning. A small faction within the Alliance had indeed made contact with the hunters. Their deal was simple: the hunters would help them eliminate the warrior species, and in return, they would have hunting rights in specific, predetermined systems. First Speaker Reed, who had become a strong advocate for human Kroth protection, was devastated by the news. "They think they're choosing a lesser evil," he explained to the Defense Council. "These traitors believe that controlled hunting in some systems is better than depending on warrior species who could one day turn against us." The revelation sparked immediate action. Human intelligence officers, paired with Kroth warriors, began tracking the conspiracy. What they found was worse than anyone had imagined. The traitors had already given the hunters detailed information about Defense Council patrol routes, weapon capabilities, and defensive systems. In the Galactic Defense Command Center, Parker studied the tactical displays. They're planning something big. The Hunter fleet movements have changed. They're gathering. Then came the message that changed everything. The Hunters, through their alliance conspirators, issued an ultimatum: the Defense Council would withdraw all forces from Alliance space, or the Hunters would launch a full-scale invasion that would make their previous attacks look like skirmishes. They think we'll retreat to protect our own worlds, Tom observed. They don't understand why we fight. War Leader Torn agreed. The traitors chose the Hunters because they believe all warrior species think alike, that we fight for ourselves first. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The Defense Council's response was unanimous. Not only would they not withdraw, but they would launch an unprecedented offensive against the Hunters. For the first time, humanity and the Kroth would take the fight to the enemy's territory. The operation was named Guardian Shield, and it would become legendary. Human ships, equipped with new stealth technology, tracked Hunter vessels back to their gathering points. Kroth battle cruisers, modified with human targeting systems, positioned themselves for the assault. But before the attack began, Tom Wilson made an unexpected request. He asked to address the Alliance Council one last time. Standing in the same chamber where Earth had once been rejected, Tom spoke not with anger, but with understanding. You feared us because you thought our warrior nature meant we could only destroy. The traitors among you fear us because they think we'll one day turn our weapons against you. But being a warrior species means more than knowing how to fight, it means knowing what to fight for. As he spoke, the joint human-Kroth fleet engaged the gathered Hunter armada. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Human ships executed complex maneuvers that the Hunters couldn't predict, while Kroth vessels absorbed punishment that would have destroyed any other ships. But the true turning point came when a group of Hunters broke through, heading for populated Alliance worlds. Without hesitation, human and Kroth ships abandoned their tactical advantages to protect the civilian systems, many sacrificing themselves to save worlds that had once rejected them. The traitors, watching from hidden bases, saw something they hadn't expected: warrior species willingly dying to protect those who had feared and shunned them. It shattered their assumptions about the nature of warfare and those who waged it. In the aftermath, as the Hunter fleet was driven back with heavy losses, the Alliance underwent a profound change. The conspiracy was exposed, its members brought to justice. But more importantly, the Alliance finally understood what humanity and the Kroth had been trying to teach them: true warriors weren't defined by their capacity for violence, but by their willingness to sacrifice for others. First Speaker Reed proposed a new addition to the Alliance Charter: the strength of civilization lies not in the absence of warriors, but in the wisdom to understand why they fight. We honor those who bear arms not for conquest, but for protection. As Tom stood in the Defense Command Center, watching the reports of victory come in, he reflected on how far they'd come. The galaxy had learned that peace wasn't a natural state, it was something that had to be protected, sometimes at a terrible cost. 20 years after Earth's initial rejection from the Galactic Alliance, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Defense Council chamber on Earth now hosted representatives from 300 species, including many from the Alliance who had chosen to join both organizations. Admiral Parker, now retired but serving as an advisor, stood before a group of new recruits. Among them were humans, Kroth, and, most surprisingly, young Alliance members who had chosen to train as warriors. When I was younger, Parker began, being called a warrior species was considered an insult. Now, look around you. Every being in this room has chosen to become a warrior, not because they love violence, but because they love peace enough to defend it. In orbit above Earth, Tom Wilson watched the construction of the new Galactic Academy of Defense. The massive station would serve as a training ground where different species could learn from each other. Humans would teach tactical thinking and adaptability. The Kroth would share their advanced combat technology and discipline. Even Alliance members would contribute, teaching the importance of maintaining peace and understanding the cultures they protected. War Leader Torn, his battle armor now bearing the symbols of both the Kroth Empire and the Defense Council, joined Tom at the viewport. The hunters have been quiet lately. They found out what happens when you corner true warriors, Tom replied. But more importantly, they discovered that we don't fight alone anymore. The hunters' last major attack had ended in a decisive defeat. Not just because of human and Kroth military might, but because former Alliance worlds had provided crucial support. Their advanced sensor networks, developed over millennia of peaceful scientific progress, had proven invaluable in detecting hunter movements. The latest Defense Council session was interrupted by an unexpected visitor, first speaker Reed, looking far older but still carrying himself with dignity. He had come with a historic proposal. The Alliance has voted, Reed announced. We wish to formally merge with the Defense Council, creating a new organization that balances both peace and protection. We were wrong to shun warrior species. We were wrong to think that peace meant never having to fight. True peace comes from having the wisdom to know when to fight, the strength to win, and the compassion to fight only when necessary. The chamber erupted in discussion. This would change everything. The merger would combine Alliance technology and cultural knowledge with Defense Council military capability and protective instincts. Tom, who had seen both humanity's rejection and its ultimate vindication, stood to address the chamber. 20 years ago, we were called a warrior species as an insult. Today, we understand it was always meant to be a responsibility. Humanity didn't prove the Alliance wrong by rejecting our warrior nature, we proved them wrong by showing what that nature was truly meant for. The merger proceedings would take years to complete, but the symbolism was immediate. The galaxy had finally understood that strength and peace weren't opposites, they were complementary forces that needed to be balanced. In the Academy training grounds, human instructors now worked alongside Alliance scientists, teaching the next generation that being a warrior wasn't about seeking conflict, it was about being ready to face it when it threatened those who couldn't protect themselves. The Kroth, once feared as mere conquerors, had found a greater purpose. Their warrior culture had evolved, maintaining its strength while learning the value of protection over domination. They became living proof that warrior species could change without losing their essence. As the years passed, the distinction between peaceful and warrior species began to fade. The galaxy learned that every species had the capacity for both peace and war, what mattered was the wisdom to know which was needed, and the strength of character to choose correctly. A new memorial was built in the Alliance's original council chamber, replacing the old one. It showed figures from all species standing together, some holding weapons, others holding tools of peace. The inscription read, "In honor of those who taught us that true peace is not the absence of warriors, but the presence of the right ones." Tom, looking at the memorial, remembered that day long ago when humanity had been rejected. The galaxy had feared what humanity was, never imagining what humanity could teach them to become. The hunter threat hadn't disappeared entirely, the galaxy was still a dangerous place. But now, when threats emerged, they faced a unified response. Alliance wisdom combined with human adaptability and Kroth strength. Science and warfare working together. Peace and protection in perfect balance. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't their warrior nature, it was showing everyone that being a warrior didn't mean what they thought it meant. It wasn't about violence or conquest. It was about having the strength to protect, the wisdom to know when to use that strength, and the courage to stand between danger and those who needed protection. As Tom watched the next generation of defenders training together, humans teaching Alliance members about tactical thinking while Alliance instructors showed humans about advanced peaceful technologies, he knew that the galaxy had finally found its balance. The warriors had become guardians, the peaceful had learned to protect themselves, and together they had created something greater than either could have achieved alone.